So today we're working on the part 3. Like I said, yesterday's was fraction and fraction operations and stuff. So I did show those that were here yesterday how to do that on the calculator and make it quicker to some degree. So the example, the properties here that we're talking about are the ones that you use. The reason you're able to solve equations like we do because of what happens algebraically. Okay, so they didn't call them by their actual names that we usually refer to them as. Okay, this one is property 1. Okay, property 1, they state, is the same quantity can be added to both terms of an equation to produce an equivalent equation. So if you add something to one side and you add it to the other side, then they're going to stay equal. That's what property 1 is. Okay. Oops. Property 2. Property 2 states that the same quantity can be subtracted from both terms of an equation, both sides. Okay. I don't like how they say both terms right there. You should change that to both sides. Because in all actuality, that's what they're talking about. You're doing it to both sides of the equation to keep them equal. You already know this because you've been doing this since junior high, talking about if you do something to one side, you have to do it to the other. So that's what both of those first properties are talking about. You can't do it on one side and not do it to the other side. Okay. Same thing with property 3, but what operation is it talking about? Adding and subtracting were the first two operations.
Dividing.
What's this one?
Multiplying.
This one is not dividing, but multiplying, right? So if you multiply both sides by the same quantity, notice that there's a different word in there this time, by the same non-zero quantity, they will stay the same. Well, if you multiplied both sides by 0, it'd still stay the same, right? But this property is specific to non-zero quantities that you are adding. Oh, come on. Oh, at the bottom of the page, that's why. Okay. So lastly, the last property, what operation is it talking about? This one's what, Darian?
Mm-hmm. Which one?
The property 4.
Dividing.
Now this one's the dividing one. Okay. So this one you can divide both sides of the equation and it's going to stay the same. Just laws of equality. So when you use these laws in combination with each other, okay, you may have to use more than one to actually solve the equation. So in this instance, in this example here, we have to use property 2, which we have to subtract things from both sides to keep them equal. And then down here, where did my thing go? Down here, in this one, we're using property 4 because we're dividing both things to both sides. And then it just shows you how you can check your work. So in this first one, how are we going to solve for x? Come on, guys.
Multiply or divide. For which one?
Add.
For number 1 here,
Oh,
we're going to add what to both sides?
12.
Add 12 to both sides.
41.
All right, so x equals 41. Which property did you use? Which property tells you that it's okay to add to both sides?
The third one.
Property 1. There you go. So you will use all the properties for those examples right there. Okay, notice that number 4 says properties, so there's going to be more than one property that you're using. I haven't got it set up to let you put answers in just yet. I was working on that, but my pre-algebra class was needy today. Yeah. So word problems at the bottom. Okay, on the last page is word problems that you're going to need to know how to set up the word problems. So in this case, it is 349 miles from Austin, Texas to Brownsville, Texas. Two bikers are traveling this distance, and after 2 days, they have traveled 65 miles. How many more miles must they go to reach Brownsville? Okay, these must not be motorcycle bikers. They must be cycling bikers, right? So their total distance that they want to go is 349. They've already traveled 65. So how do you determine how many's left? Well, 349 minus 65 will give you how much they have still left to go. Then you can always, and you should always, check your work and make sure it works, it checks out. So the word problems on that last page are not necessarily difficult word problems, but if you have a hard time setting them up, then ask questions. Yeah. Set them up first and then answer the question. All of them say they're using property 2, which means all of them would be subtraction problems in the end, but setting them up would set up like an addition problem. Okay. Now I will get Go Formative finished up for you to answer the questions on there. Here just shortly I'll have it finished. What?
For part 3?
For part 3. Mm-hmm. It's not open yet. It's not where you have access because I haven't finished on my side. Yeah. So that one, there's a video and Ed puzzle for you on it. Okay. But first thing, you need to figure out what all those measures are at the top.